Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the Rad Gaming Podcast. I'm Jemshi.
And I'm Pescador. And in this episode of the podcast, we interview Poxxers, a business-oriented streamer who discusses at great length about how to market yourself as a streamer, how to encourage interaction in chat, and why change is crucial as it pertains to streaming.
This episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast is sponsored by Cento Fiore. Cento Fiore is a lifestyle fashion brand that sees beauty in cultural heritage and always strives to offer timeless and elegant style. Visit cento-fiore.com to join the family. That's cento-fiori.com. So get comfortable, because we're about to interview Poxxers.
I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate you being on here.
Thank you guys for having me. I know we've been going through a lot of stuff going back and forth with scheduling, so appreciate you guys being patient.
Well, you know you're a busy individual, so maybe kind of go through your background before you started streaming.
Sure. So I started off in sales whenever I was about 17 years old. So I'm 30 now. And I basically did sales all the way through college, and started getting in with some of these guys that were for personal development. I was fortunate to. I was a bratty kid, first of all, and my parents were trying to give me advice, and I was like, nah. But I found, fortunately, I was kind of either directed to or found, however you want to put it, some guys that were very entrepreneurial minded, and they were big into personal development, leadership development, things like by John Maxwell, Darren Hardy, Jim Rohn, things like that. Yeah. And so whenever I was in college, I was reading a lot of these things and trying to get to where I thought like them. And a lot of these people that I was on the phone with at night and I was learning from and asking questions to, they were pushing me in that direction to say, hey, look, check this out or check this out. And they would send me information. So it gave me early on exposure into the business world. And I was a communications major in college. And so it kind of turned into, while I was learning like the public speaking side, I was also developing that leadership side. So whenever I got out of college, I had the first job like everybody. And anyway, that company actually did layoffs like 2 years in, and yeah, that wasn't fun. But it opened me up to I developed kind of a technical side somewhere in there, and I found out I liked building computers in my spare time. I'm a big like Star Wars: The Old Republic fan, and I monitored the game as it was coming through.
It's a great game.
Right?
Oh, like fantastic. I even have it. I have the Knights of the Old Republic actually behind me. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
I absolutely love
There's
that
one
game.
and two over there, I think, right?
Oh, I do have two. It's not on the back. Right there.
Right, yeah.
Halo 2 and
gotcha.
Special limited edition one.
No, the first one was.
Absolutely. But sorry, go on.
Yeah. So I liked the storyline side of that. And anyway, so I ended up building a computer based on the specs that I was seeing for Star Wars: The Old Republic. But it wasn't out yet. So I started playing World of Warcraft whenever I was in college, and I no-lifed it for a little bit. But I was still doing a lot of the personal leadership development stuff. I was finding conferences around the city. I was flying out to places to meet these people and kind of pick their brains. I'll never actually forget it. There was a guy that and this was a guy I looked up to. I still look up to this day. Older gentleman. He had been retired for like 30 years. I want to say that he's probably in his mid 60s now. 7-figure income earner, and
wow,
maybe put in his own business, let's say like between 10 and 15 hours a week.
That's it?
Into business. Yeah. I'll never forget it. I met him and he had this watch, and he on that watch, it was literally like made out of it was like gold plated and had like diamonds all in. It was a $250,000 watch. Yeah, it was a $250,000 watch.
Damn. Yeah.
And he took it off and he handed it to me. And
please tell me you took it and run.
Right? Like
yeah.
There was my moment, but no.
The fact that he trusted you, man, that would have been
right. So we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and he took it off and he showed it to me, and I'm like kind of shaking, as I'm holding this thing that's worth
Don't drop it.
Right, that's worth like more than my life. And he I'm like 18 years old at this time. Anyway, he said, look, you can learn from others' mistakes, or you can make them yourself, but I promise you, if you make them yourself, they're more expensive. And I went, okay. So he said basically every single morning he gets up in his like 1 out of 100 car vehicle that he's got, like it was only 100 of them ever made. He sits on the side of the highway and watches people
make mistakes.
Yeah, and he watches people going into work, and he's just sitting there and smoking a cigar. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But he showed me a lot of stuff in business, and whenever I got out of college, I didn't have the work experience to do any of that yet. I had like a vending machine company and a couple other things, but nothing that was going bigger or anything like that. So I started off in like commercial insurance, which was funny. It wasn't personal insurance; it was commercial. So a lot of businesses, things like that. It got me in front of and got me to know a lot of entrepreneurial, business-minded guys who are still some of my friends to this day. So anyway, that company did layoffs, and then I was building computers and just kind of selling them over on the side. Just to friends and people that wanted them. I think I built so far, I mean, it hasn't been much. I've only built like 15, 16 computers, something like that.
Oh, not much at all.
Still a lot.
Yeah, I built 2 in my time, man, 2.
Right, yeah. So it was, but I mean, a couple of those were people that were, showing me how-tos, and I was looking up YouTube and, stuff like that. And then after that, I just started kind of doing it for fun, and some people wanted to buy them. So anyway, I ended up in the technical side, working for a manufacturer that makes copper and fiber optic cables, and it was a really cool learning experience for me because same industry that I'm in now, but it was a really cool learning experience for me because it wasn't just the sales side. It put me in kind of a management type of position. I was working with distribution companies and had wanted to make sure that they had everything because the company I was with didn't, house the product, so we had distribution centers for it, and then contracting companies that were certified with us. So anyway, I got to learn. I got to where I looked at everything almost like a chessboard, and there was always a moving part somewhere because you would have multiple contractors going after the same, job from, whatever the project was. And then you would have each distributor all competing over it, and then I would have my competitors, the other manufacturers. So, I mean, you would have, 22 certified contractors, 26 certified contractors by me, all going for the same thing, and then the same guys had all their guys too, and some were the same contractor, and you kind of had to learn how to manage that and deal with that stress. I had about 300 to 400 opportunities I was working on at any given time. Did really well there, and ended up taking a position in it that was I had a team over here in Houston that I was working with, and then I took Louisiana, Mississippi by myself, then made the switch over to the industrial side, which was a real similar thing, but it taught me coding, and because they had a cyber security division, so it was a lot of switches and things like that. So I was getting to see a lot of back-end servers and stuff like that. So anyway, that kind of goes into a little bit of like the business world for me. And then I ended up streaming because actually Medic Sizzle, who is the roommate, he lives like 30 feet in that direction. He was like, "Hey man, why don't you try checking this out just to de-stress, get your mind off of things?" And I went, "Okay." And
were you looking for a stress relief? Because it sounds like you were really ready to just. Oh yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I was extremely stressed. I had gone through like business stuff, whatever. That had actually been a really, really rough year. I still was able to pull out the number and everything for it, but I had made a job transition over to the industrial side, and I was doing basically like 3 people's jobs, functioning off very little sleep, but I couldn't seem to shut it off, and I couldn't seem to get a distraction for it. It was always there. I'd gone through a bad breakup, and how those things go.
That just doesn't help.
No, it didn't help, and I'm not going to get all negative or anything like that on here. But anyway, it was a rough time because of everything that was involved in that. So anyway, I needed a distraction, and I hadn't redone any build or anything on my computer in years at that point. It would still play WoW on like the highest, well, not highest, I couldn't do it on ultra, but on like high settings, right? But then I put PUBG in, and it said no.
Yeah, I think everyone ran into that problem.
Yeah, right. And I just kind of looked at it, going, "Oof." So I upgraded my PC. I also had a laptop that was mine, and that's what you guys see. Like whenever I'm streaming, I lean over and I like, well, as people rate other people, things like that. I want to make sure that I'm supporting people that are being supportive people, right? So I'll make sure that I'm like lurking certain people as I'm streaming. So I'll have that way it's not interfering with anything on the PC. But started off doing I think February 1st was my first stream. I think so. And that was of 2018. I had just flown back from Tucson, Arizona, and flew back into Houston, and then streamed that evening. And was basically streaming PUBG and just trying to get to 50 followers, and just trying to like figure this whole thing out. And I was trying to do the whole follow for follow thing, and
try to break to affiliate.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of falls for that trap of follow for follow, though. It's a common mistake of everyone that starts streaming.
Right. Yeah, and it's easy to fall into that because you're like, I've just got to get my 50, and
and you get followers, and you're like, well, this is good, it's working.
Exactly. And then you're like, oh crap, I need my 3 average viewers. What did I do?
Yeah, there's no one watching, and you're
exactly. I remember there was a person that found me, I think right before I hit affiliate, and they found me because they scrolled to the bottom of PUBG, like the very bottom, and I was the last person, and they just went, and that's how they found me, just to come in and say hi to the bottom person in PUBG. And I was like, okay.
Wow, I bet it feels really good when they say it like that, huh?
It's kind of a compliment, kind of a back,
right? And I was like, well, I was excited to have someone in the channel all of a sudden, because I'm going, hi, what's going on? I appreciate y'all coming in here, but yeah, I think I was streaming for like anywhere between 3 to 10 hours. It was like 10 hours on the weekend, and then during the week it was a lot more difficult, so it was about 3 to 4 hours maybe on like good days. That was the start.
You said that you had a lot of business experience, beforehand. Did you bring a lot of that business aspect to streaming?
Yes. I would say like the way that a lot of marketing's done. Now Twitch has its own way of, in my opinion, like there's one way of marketing on Twitch, right? And kind of getting yourself out there. And a lot of that's through these communities that you can network inside of, that pretty much keep as much, toxicity out as possible. Because there is a lot of toxicity that, in my opinion, there's a lot of toxicity that's on Twitch. And whenever you run into things or people that, tend to bring or invite or invoke, right, a lot of drama, you kind of have to back away and realize that that's not, where you're trying to focus. And even if they try and start something, you're just go this way.
Yeah.
Because they'll, flare up and everything, and they'll take up all your time.
Yeah.
So anyway, marketing wise, I just kind of focused on the next step, the next goal. I think that the business side of it was more, a lot of people tend to say exactly how they feel whenever they're on stream with no filter. I don't think that everyone does that by any means, but I feel like it's easy to invite that, here's how I feel about everything. And the business side of it was, look, no, you're still networking. You don't have to get along with everybody, but here's the wording that you can use around that, so that you're
a professional manner, kind of.
Right. It's a business professional side, right? So you can still have fun. You can still be the streamer and still have, yada, yada, yada and everything. But, as far as anything that can be seen as like verbally attacking anybody, to keep that business professional and away from things. And I had a number of people that whenever I was going, they're like, "Oh, you're just looking for views and everything." I was like, "No, I'm actually trying to get to know people." At first, I was doing the follow for follow thing, and we were all looking for views.
Yeah.
And then I got in with an organization that, or not an organization, but a Discord community that was actually pretty cool. They helped me get over to affiliated, so I got my 3 average viewers from it. And then I found B42 by accident. I was in a channel, and the Video Game Diva rated a guy, and it was like the biggest raid I'd ever seen. It was like 43 people, I think, at that time. 43, 46, something like that. And I literally was like, oh my gosh, how do I get inside of B42? What is this? It's like the biggest raid. I want to network with these people. And I think I like watched for her to go live again for like the next 5 days. And I was like, how do I get inside of B42? This is crazy. And I tried at first to bring kind of the rating scenario that B42 does to that other community to help it grow. But it was met with a lot of negativity, and some people just didn't want it, which I didn't fully understand because I was seeing
I'm actually
it work
kind of lost there. Why would they be so negative about something that's so positive in a sense?
My point of view on it, and their point of view at the time was they wanted people to come in their channel and stay the entire time. They didn't want it because they felt like it was inflating viewership, and that people were only in there for just 3 to 5-ish minutes, and then they just moved on. Yeah, and they didn't want it. And I was watching it over in B42, and I said, this is working. You're getting exposure to channels that you probably would have never seen. Mm-hmm. They've got, I think, like 6,000 people in there now. And it was really an amazing concept, and people are sitting inside this voice channel, getting to know each other, having fun. You're getting a lot of exposure over to people that you would have never seen. You see who kind of catches your eye, and go back and network with those people, talk with them. And I think networking is I've never run into a scenario where networking was a bad thing until I got on Twitch, or like people say that like networking is bad, and I'm going, that's literally what business is. You're trying to grow a brand. Look at yourself as a business, and what do you want your brand to say? So if you're going off and you're just like verbally attacking people, things like that, you're going to create that brand of like, hey,
welcome to all the toxic people to me, just come to me,
exactly. And then you'll have people come and retort back to you. It can turn into a never-ending cycle, and ultimately will hurt your channel, in my opinion. But when you're able to look at yourself and say, okay, I'm a business, I have a brand that you're building, and it's designed to help other people. People all want to work together. Good people end up finding you. I think that you attract who you are, and how you conduct yourself, and that will bring people in, and also let you reach out, and people kind of see that, and that whenever they see, oh, this is a supportive person, that's a great way to grow on Twitch, because they, obviously they want you to, go in their channel. They want you to check them out. Everyone. That's their idea, but instead of having any kind of backlash or anything for doing something like that,
you don't want to be spammy or
exactly,
like a needy,
right? Exactly. So
watchers and viewers,
right. So anyway, I ended up getting out of that other community, and I focused solely on B42 at the time, and then I was just getting to know people in there. I was constantly going through as many channels as I possibly could to get to know people, as long as like the lurks and everything still counted. I didn't feel like it was fair if I had like 30 tabs open, and people the way that Twitch works, you only can have 9 tabs open, from what we've tested with it, right? You have like 9 tabs open, then after that you'll lose the live view, even if you have the tab, like if you mute the tab or mute the channel, same thing, right? So I always did it to the best of my ability, I could. Every now and then I would catch myself and be like, oh crap, I've got 10 tabs open. And so I'd have to close one out so that everyone, would hold that view. And I always looked at it as, okay, I'll do this right. And people can decide, what they want to, if they want to do it right themselves. But I'm going to tell as many people about this as possible because that helps their channel. I got really heavily involved in the B42 raids, got really heavily involved in the general chats, and I was hanging out in people's channels that seemed to be moving forward. And this was whenever I had something like 3 average viewers, something like that. So I was spending a lot of time in there, and I wasn't just talking with the streamer. I was talking with with everyone that was in the chat. So I was trying to get to know as many people as I could, and then I go into the next channel, and people from there would be over in the next channel, and you slowly see
same people over and over again,
and you kind of see who's networking and who's talking, and you go, oh, hey, I just saw you over here. And eventually, I think it's inevitable. You end up saying hi to people enough. You end up seeing them around enough. Like, I'll click on someone's channel and I'll go by and I'll check them out.
You form a friendship.
I see them everywhere. Yeah. Exactly. So I think that's honestly the best way to get exposure to people to come to, see who you are as a streamer, is really hanging out in channels and networking inside of these communities that are built around, that support for support side. But again, you can't be in everyone's channel, right, all the time. It's not possible. If it was possible to have, 600 tabs open,
it's just unmaintainable at that point.
It's unmaintainable, too. Exactly. So, what I try to do is really talk in, a couple of people's channels. Other people I'll have up on Lurk, and as I'm able to, I'll talk in other channels. But I try to at least go back and keep that conversation going as best that I possibly can, and just kind of saying hi and spending time in their channel instead of just boom, all right, I'm gone. Hey, I'm lurking right now, I'm gone. Unless it was during the business day. If I'm working or if I'm doing stuff during the business day and I truly can't spend time on their channel, then I'm saying, hey, look, I'm at work right now. I've got you up with the sound on, so you keep the live view. But I tried to avoid as much as I could doing that, so that whenever I popped in, I was actually saying hi. Yeah. And getting to know them.
Right. So that's kind of what you did when you were kind of starting out, I guess. Do you still do that now, or do you kind of have, because I know you've got your own like Phoenix Cartel and Phoenix Elite that I was kind of hoping to ask about too.
Sure. Yeah. So I can say that, yes, I do all of that still. There are people that are on that I constantly am going in that I'm supporting, and I know their schedules. Like, I know exactly whenever they go on, and I make sure that I'm in their channel. 1, because I'm either modding for them, or 2, because I want to help keep that hype up for their channel, and to help get them to the next level, right?
Yeah. So it's part of your work schedule. So just keep tabs with everybody, keep connection and talking.
Oh yeah, all the time. I think that if you stop doing that, like Twitch is kind of a slow moving train, right? Slow moving train. Once you get momentum built up for it, it can really just, take off. But at the same time, if you stop doing those things that helped get you that exposure, and if you stop going into people's channels, you stop, saying hi and really talking with them and other people in the chat, because that's, in my opinion, that's gold. Because as you talk with other people in the channel, the streamer that is your friend is so grateful for that too, because you're helping keep that chat flowing and moving, and it becomes an active chat, and it becomes a place where people are hanging out. So I think I still absolutely do that a lot. Now, if I'm during the work day and all I can do is lurk with it, I'll usually tell them, hey, look, I've got to lurk right now. I'm working, or I'm on a call, or something crazy like that. But as far as being in people's channels and talking every chance that I get.
Gotcha. So what about Phoenix Cartel? We've kind of seen that kind of come up in your social media.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the way that I looked at Phoenix Cartel is, so I'm a mod in B42, and I looked at the structure of B42, and it's Benda's a fantastic guy. It's very, it's based on that support for support, right? And so I wanted to do something that was a little bit different and not something that would be seen as direct. It wouldn't say like, oh, well, Phoenix Cartel is in direct competition with, B42, right? Yeah. I wanted to make something that I saw as a need for people to be a part of and feel like they were going to get some advice on how to hold viewership, how to get over to that next level on their goals with their personal channels.
So that is that more like a mentoring kind of like community, I guess, in a sense?
It is. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's I think that networking and really developing those relationships inside of channels is only like one side of the coin, right? The other side of that is once people finally do click over and check you out, how do you spark their interest? How do you
keep them coming back time and time again?
Right. So we are in the entertainment industry. I mean, that's what streaming is. You are entertaining people. It's not the chat's job to keep chat going or to keep you entertained being the streamer, right? You are the person that's there to entertain. How do you have viewers that want to engage with you? How do you encourage those types of things? And things like the B42 raids, right? I mean, that's where the raid scene ideas came from. I was inside of a B42 raid, and a guy like solved a Rubik's Cube and had a bunch of lights going off in the background, and I went, okay. So I thought about it for like a week, and I put together the cowbell scene, and people really liked it. And I did that, but because of how I am, I was looking at a lot of really successful streamers that had focused on the entertainment side, and I looked up some of their stories, and they were constantly coming out with new material, right? Because I mean,
got to spice it up, right?
You've got to change it up. It's kind of like watching if you're not doing something different over on your channel, it's kind of like watching the same episode over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, I absolutely love Top Gun. I love Top. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time, but I'm not going to watch it every single day, right? So it would have to be okay. What's something different, or
does Goose do something different this time to make sure that he doesn't end up where he is? I don't know if anyone said it. I don't want to ruse
Rip
him.
Goose.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So I wanted to come up with new material and be able to allude to it and hype that up, right? To say like, hey, we have a new raid scene coming, or being a part of the V42 raid scenes like that. I wanted to be able to make a new raid scene or put a new GIF in the channel or be able to, engage with chat more. And I would watch my VODs to figure out where I got bored with my own stuff.
Yeah.
And wow. I would try not to be overly critical, but at times that was hard. And I would look at people that I admired, like Duty Beard and Benda and people like that. And I noticed they were just, they were constantly talking, constantly engaging the chat. They were talking with, yada, 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 all these things.
Right. But they're also not talking about just boring things too. Like they've got the topics that you talk about are also the other half of it. Like you say, like you can talk all the time, but you don't want to talk about just, flub or.
Exactly. I mean, let your,
like anything you say is not really taken seriously or listened to really.
Right, and if you can add based on your personality, if you can let that come through and really let people to get to know you, whether your personality is funny or always serious or whatever it is, if you're engaging with with your viewers that way, it's and encouraging them to talk, that will go a long way. So, Phoenix Cartel is the other side of that coin, right? It is meant to focus on channel development from an entertainment style perspective based on people's personalities. So kind of tailors down. We've got a lot of material inside of, if you're a member of the stream team, we've got a lot of material that's sitting in there, and we're still expanding on that. We're about to be developing, the YouTube channel side of it. So it'll be a lot of stuff that myself, Medic Sizzle, and some other people do, and just more from an advice standpoint, as well as teaching people how to use a lot of these CGI or visual effects, things like that you'll see, and how we made that. And for people that aren't interested in making that, then we'll have, our graphics guys that can do, commissions and things like that. Because not everyone wants to sit down and learn, Adobe.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Right. So exactly. And there's a lot that I don't know with it either.
Oh yeah.
The person that understands that entire program is a much better person than me. But I know enough to be
Scoot
dangerous,
by,
and
yeah.
I found right. So I learned a little bit from Medic Sizzle, and then I would go on YouTube and I would look up how-to videos on how to make things that I had ideas for. And I would think anytime something popped in my head, or if I saw something on someone's channel, I would put it in a Word document, or I'd put it on a notepad and write it down. And then I'd figure out how to do my own personal twist to it.
Makes sense. Like a
So that it wasn't
thriller.
done.
A thriller
Right.
scene is actually really, really interesting. The zombie arms coming out and you have them in the brain.
Thank you.
Like where did you get that idea from? Like how did that pop into your head? And have you always been a theatrical individual, or did you just pick it up because of, you knowing that this is an entertainment business?
I guess I've kind of always been that way. I can think of scenes that I want to put together whenever I'm driving specifically and songs are on. It becomes something that can pop in my head and I just am running with. I've been able to do that since I was a kid and put together a lot of different scenes. And
So you're just a very visual thinker.
right, very visual thinker. I learn by doing, but I can think of it in my mind and I think, okay, now how do I make this happen? Because
Make it a reality.
right, and I didn't know much at all to make the thriller scene. I had to learn quite a bit, so that I want to make that a little bit easier and kind of a center point for people to be able to find this information. It's good information, but not just from the visual perspective. I want to delve more into what's their engagement with their chat like. What's the where can we improve even the small things, and then also if they have a raid idea or things show them how to do that. The graphics side of it, the graphics commission people, which I don't do commissions, but people in there do, and they can make whatever someone needs to make. But I found that whenever I was making it myself, I would learn just that little thing more, and it would make me more familiar with the program and kind of expand it on some of the ideas that I'm having. So, and I'm still learning. I think that I think if someone necessarily stops and says, "Okay, my content's good," I think that can be an issue, because if you are constantly looking for ways to improve and constantly adding to your channel, my goal with my channel is for people to have enough content, enough things in the channel that if you come to the stream one day and then come to it the next time that I'm live, that there will be things in it that you didn't see from before, even if you hung out the entire stream. Just little things, or big things that pop up that keep someone going, oh wow, I wonder what we're going to see, in this channel today. That type of thing.
You actually just got partner not too long ago.
Yes.
Congratulations, by the way. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
accomplishment. And you earlier in the session, you were saying that you had no viewers whatsoever. You're the bottom of PUBG's list. How did you go from being at the bottom of PUBG's list to the whole way to getting partner? Well, I mean, I understand you said networking is important,
Right.
But is there anything else you could attribute to your success?
Yes. I was trying to focus too much on the game. And I think there's really a few ways to grow on Twitch. One is to be the best at the game. If you're the best at the game, I mean, go and play tournaments, win tournaments, become a professional gamer, spend all your time playing, that one game or, a game just like it. And
you get kind of your publicity through that. Also,
you get your publicity through that, right? And because you're winning those tournaments, because you're winning all of these things, you will people will come and check you out.
Yeah.
But if you're the other side of that coin, you're not the best at the game, right? Which I promise you, I am not the best at Overwatch by any.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that follow that category
right.
too.
Right. If we could all be the best at the game, this would be who's the best at the game at that point.
It'd be pretty insane, though.
Yeah.
Right? That would be a crazy tournament. It'd be insane. But I wanted to be able to play a variety of games, and I wanted people to get to know me and want to, for one, to see me around in a bunch of channels, so that I'm, networking, I'm giving back into the community, right? And also, whenever they came and they clicked on me, I wanted it to have that. Oh, what is this? What's this about? Or oh, that's kind of a cool thing that Poxxers just did. How do you do that? Or something. And I wanted to be engaging enough with those people that were coming into the channel And even whenever, let's say, chat died, which, I mean, along this whole array, like, chat dies a lot. It's just part of the process. Yeah. So whenever chat dies, how do you recover from that?
How do you recover from it?
I would honestly say things like, if I was walking up to a building, whatever pops in my mind, depending on the game, facial reactions, things like that, of being able to talk about even just what's going on in the game, but not from a bland standpoint. Let's say you're walking up to a PUBG, right, for instance, and you walk up and you're just like, oh my gosh, I hope someone's not inside of this building. Someone's inside the building. Oh my god, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
And you kind of you allow what's happening to kind of affect you, right? Same thing whenever you're playing a scary game. It would be easier to sit there and just play and not say anything, and you're focused on it, right? And whenever you have your freak out, you have your freak out if you get scared by scary games. But to be able to allow yourself to really portray and speak your thoughts, and then whenever, as people do pop in, because people will come into your channel, you'll never know that they're there. People tend to decide within 15 seconds or less if they're going to hang out in your channel. A lot of times it's less. And so whenever they go in there, if they just see this,
just a very blank face,
nothing's going on. Yeah, that's just gameplay. Unless you are just God really well known as the best of the game,
right. Yeah.
A lot of people will. There's
So you're saying be a little animated in a sense.
Be animated, yeah. Be animated.
Maybe that's what we're doing wrong, Jemshi.
Really
gotta be.
Allow yourself to talk with your hands and things like that.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to have facial expressions. You're doing this, and all of a sudden you get shot in the get a headshot, and you just.
Or an eyebrow
and then you throw it right, and you're like, oh my god, what happened with this guy? But not from a point that you're necessarily just raging over the game, but you're still able to kind of
finding
laugh
that
at
balance.
yourself. Right, yeah. And I think a big key to it is just to make it to where you don't necessarily stop talking. You always have something going on, and then whenever people come into your channel, and just say hi, right? Yeah. Be like, oh, hey, how are you doing, Pescador? How's your day going? And for us to start having that conversation, and me as a streamer making sure that even though I'm playing this game, to really be focusing a lot on the channel and chat, and talking with you guys and building that relationship that way. Because as people come into my channel and as they talk more, things like that, obviously, we all remember like who they are and the people that come into our channels, and people that do that more and more and more and more and more, you kind of go, this person's been around a lot lately. You click on their channel, you go in and you check out their content. And it falls on the streamer at that time, who the person that's live, to have that personality or, that cup of tea, right, for whoever their audience is, to make them want to stay in the channel. And a bunch of people like different things. A lot of people like different things. So
I guess what you're saying is like, you don't have to cater to everybody as long as you're catering to a group of people, a large enough group of people that you're going to be satisfied with.
I think
it can't be too niche where it's like one or two people like you.
Right. Exactly. So I think that if you focus on my personal opinion on it is the game is almost the game. I mean, while it matters to a point, pick a game you enjoy playing. But I think that if you have to choose between getting shot in the head and then respawning over here for a second versus you just got rated, focus on the chat and talking with everyone that just came in there and really putting the viewers first. I think you should pick the viewers, unless you are just going for
if you are the best in the world,
if you are the best in the world, don't worry about it.
Right. So for everyone else, it's going to be viewers first, and
I would focus more on the viewers, and I think that in the very beginning, while it is tough to do that, because channels will move more slowly. There's not chat. You don't have people that are trying to network with you specifically. It becomes a lot of hey, look, let me talk in these people's channels, get to where you're noticing people inside of the communities that you're in, and you're networking that way. But as people come in and check you out, for them whenever they do finally come in there, for you to have something that they can either relate to, or they're encouraged to chat in your channel, or something that they can comment on that makes them go, oh, I'm going to comment on this. And that was a big thing with the raid scenes as far as growing and getting exposure, because you get raided and most people were there to see the previous person's channel and they were just supporting that previous person. And then whenever they come into the channel,
there's that drop off where people kind of
right. So how do you fall off? Yeah, and even if someone likes your content, they may be done for the day, right? Like that may be the last thing that they're doing, and they can choose whether to follow or not. So how do you get that, hey, look at this craziness, and then they go, oh, well, that's interesting. Maybe I'll come back and I'll check this guy out later. And then they'll follow, and then they.
Would you recommend dropping basically everything in a game if you get raided? Like you said,
depending on the size of the raid. Pending.
Yeah. So what would you consider dropping everything to really pay attention and shout out, hey, thank you for this giant raid? Like, is there a specific number that you really focus on? Everything after 20, 30, 40?
Probably a percentage of what your current viewers are, or something like that?
I've tried. I can explain that to a little bit. I appreciate even whenever I see like the 2-person raids, right?
Yeah.
But I will. At times, if let's say I get rated here, but I've got let's say there's 120 people or whatever over in the channel, and I get rated by 2 people, I want them to be able to. I'm talking with them. I'm focused on that. I'm like, dude, thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. I'm still playing. I'm like, here, and I may type in ! Scene, which will pull up a list of the raid scenes that they can choose from. And if I'm right in that crucial part of the game or whatever, and the rest of everybody is watching and they're seeing that, and I'm talking, having a lot of conversation, things along those lines, then I'll usually wait until that round is over before doing the raid scene. Yeah. However, if let's say you get raided by 10 people, 20 people, and people are coming in and they're saying raid, and they're throwing up a lot of emotes, that's your time for exposure. I mean, they're going to choose within 10 to 15 seconds whether they're going to stick around or not. Yeah. You never know who will stick around and like your content and then come back and check you out later. So at that point, I would more than likely just drop what I was doing and do the raid scene. Yeah.
I gotta ask you, man. Poxxers, the name.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with that?
I was sitting in Medic Sizzle's room, and I had a drink in one hand. I had my phone in another sitting next to me, and then I had my keys and my wallet. And I don't know how all of that necessarily ended up in there. And Medic and I were talking about something to invent one night, just bro talk. And I was literally sitting there, and I mean we're roommates, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm in my boxers, and I've got like a shirt on. We're sitting here talking, and I forget all of the craziness that led up to it. It was right before I started even considering streaming. And basically I stood up and I went, it would be really great to have pockets right now. And we thought it just kind of was that conversation with boxers with pockets. And then I put a parachute on it because I'm a skydiver. And yeah. So a lot of people think it's parachute boxers, which in hindsight, that's not too bad. But it's actually boxers with pockets, and I'm having a merch thing come out soon that has boxers with pockets on it.
Dude, I need
so this entire stream is a ploy to just market your entire boxer brand.
He's always thinking business. I mean, that's perfect right there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at it, I was like, I'd wear them. So maybe other people wear them too.
I run around. I'm not gonna lie. Like at night, I wear boxers. Right? Yeah, I need pockets in my boxers. Where am I put my phone at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got keys or whatever. I mean, I don't know about you. I just wouldn't. I might go to the store with that on.
Man, I already have a vision for your infomercial kind of thing. Like where you're gonna put your phone at in your elastic. Wrong. It slips out of your boxers. Poxxers, idiot.
No. Yeah, exactly. And I thought about doing after Partner Right. They let you kind of open up and be able to do commercials or whatever on your stream, and I don't think I'm going to go in that way. I think it'd be funny to make my own commercials out of stuff that's funny, kind of like what you see in Ricky Bobby and like Talladega Nights. He's like, "Hi, I'm Ricky Bobby and the Jackhawk 9000." Like, it would be funny to do stuff like that while you were gone, and
it's very entertaining instead of just very informational commercials.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
If you have to use the restroom or something, just hit the button, just play your commercial in between the breaks, like an actual like commercial.
Exactly. I mean, so we've got
right there.
Right. So I do have a sponsor, and that's Probiotic Mist, but I don't want to like overdo that to where people feel like I'm just like pushing that on them. Right. It's a really good product, but I don't want it to seem like it's being pushed on people. If they like it, they can use it. If not, it's not my job to, force anything on anybody.
Yeah.
So I want to have more content there that's, just kind of funny and things that, people can really come to, and they look at it as a positive place where they can talk, chat with other people in chat, network themselves, get to know people, follow each other, and hopefully, be entertained and feel like it's just a fun place to be where they can kind of de-stress and forget about the rest of everything.
Makes perfect
sense. That may
be
going on.
Yeah. But you said you're a skydiver? Like, are you going to get your certification so you can go? Like, I know that tandem. I went. My fiance actually for my 23rd birthday, we went skydiving or something like that, or 25th. I can't remember.
How do you not know if you went skydiving or not?
Oh, I know I went skydiving. I don't remember the age, dude. I forget how old I am right now. I'm like 28, 29.
How many shots did you say you had that day?
None. I was like high off of adrenaline. Let me tell you, man.
Right.
Like,
were you shaking like after whenever you landed on the ground?
No, I was all talk. I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting there. I was like, I got this. I was like pumping my chest out a little bit, and then we get in that plane, and I was the first person up front, so we like kneel because we had to kneel by the door, and the door opens up. I'm like, shit. Like, I don't know if I got this, dude. I don't know if I got this.
Got real fast, yeah.
And it was.
Did you
funny.
have it recorded for you?
I did. Actually, I have the video too, and it's actually it was a really fun time, but it was a blur going out the door because I remember him going, "All right, we're gonna go on 3, 1, 2," and then he just out, like not even to get to gone. 2, and now I'm gone. Yep. Yeah, he didn't even.
On 3, people grab.
Yeah,
and they say, "No, I'm not ready," and off you go.
No, that's awesome. How many jumps have you done?
So far I've only done 12. Because of a lot of stuff that happened at the beginning of 2018. I needed to focus my bills and everything first and kind of get some of that stuff paid off.
Yeah.
And so I backed off of it for a little bit, but I am actually just about to be getting back into it. So far I've only done about 12.
So what's the goal?
The goal is 200 because at that point I can wingsuit. I grew up.
200 gets you a wingsuit? What? That's crazy. Yeah. I did not know that.
Oh yeah. So at 200, there's not even like a certification, which is weird. But
really,
the place that I went to, so I did my first 2 tandems, and then I started building off of that, and I was going, 2 or 3 times a month, and I was working my way through that. It was a lot of fun. Each time that I would go, I would be really pumped up about it, and then the plane would come up, and it was then out you go.
Yeah.
And I had that kind of and then it's like you're flying. But I grew up with kind of the extreme sports mentality. I don't watch I'm an Aggie, so I like Aggie football, but I don't necessarily go out of my way to watch a lot of traditional sports. I really like the X Games, things like that. So I grew up racing dirt bikes, and then have done a number of things like wakeboarding and scuba diving, skydiving, stuff like that.
So you have a scuba certification too?
I do, yeah.
Wow, dude, so do I. I have a deep diving certification.
Let's go.
Oh, I'm
let's
in.
Go.
I live in South Carolina. Let's go down to Florida, Clearwater, Florida. I want to swim with the manatees. That's actually my goal.
I'm planning to go to Florida this year over maybe June, and I'm always down for more dive buddies.
Man, I'm in.
I love my scuba. Love it. So
it's been a while.
Totally down.
Sounds like I need to get certified.
Do it. It's literally like $300, and then you're certified for life.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
Really,
I mean,
it's an awesome way to meet people. You can just go out and have everyone's real chill, and you're weightless.
Did you do the night dive?
I did.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I used to live in Pennsylvania, and I did the night dive in some creepy lake, and I couldn't see more than probably 5 feet in front of me. And I don't like blackish water because, like, you can't see what's there, but it's a different feeling under the water. It's really neat. You feel like at one with everything. It's such a cool feeling.
Almost nothing else kind of comes in. You get to see some really, really cool stuff. One of my favorite places to dive, and I still think that, like, today, this is the best place I've gone diving, is Cozumel. So when I've got a video I can send to you guys if y'all like to check it out.
I would love to check it out.
Awesome, cool. I'll send it. But I made this. I went again in 2016, but the video I have is from 2014, and the current is just strong enough that you're moving kind of, at a good speed.
Yeah.
And you kind of just control your breath going through, and it's beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous place. And it's cheap, which is nice.
You do this on cruises for the most part? I know a lot of cruises go to Cozumel.
I went to a place that it was like $80 a night for all inclusive.
Oh, nice.
And then I paid, I think, like $200 to go on 6 dives with all the gear included.
That's really cheap.
Wow.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it whenever I found that, and I was like, oh. So I was talking with a couple of the guys that were the Houston pilots, and by that I mean they bring like the big ships in through the canal.
Yeah.
And these, whenever I go there, I use the guy that they recommended to me. So it was a really, really cool guy, and I can't wait to go back again. I've been dying to, actually, but it's a lot of fun. It's absolutely gorgeous. The reef and everything, and it's amazing.
And now that you stream, are you gonna stream that on your Twitch?
If I can, yeah. If I can get it to where it will live stream from the GoPro, while I'm down there, that would be really, really cool. But I think that it's gonna have to tether a connection up to the phone.
I don't know how that's gonna happen.
And I think I'll run out of depth, because a lot of times, really good diving usually is between about 40, 60 feet, somewhere around there. But there's some dives there that go down to 95, 100 feet, and that's where the battleship is. That's down there that you can go through, and it's cool. Really cool. Yeah,
I mean, if you have a YouTube channel, you could probably just upload those later, or kind of like on stream review your footage, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see that.
Exactly. It's just getting back over into it. It's been killing me. I want to jump out of a plane again, and I want to go back to scuba diving. I'm dying for it.
That sounds like a lot of fun, man. And I know you're a busy man, which brings me to my next point. We really appreciate you coming on to the podcast, my man. So thank you so much. You have yourself a wonderful time scuba diving, skydiving in the future.
Just living life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And man, keep in touch. Like, let's get together. If you want to go down to Florida sometime,
I'm in.
Plan a trip, man. I'm down.
Absolutely, I'm in. But thank you, man. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
And thanks again to Poxxers for joining us on the podcast. You can find him on Twitch at twitch.tv/Poxxers.
And make sure you're subscribed for more video podcasts on our YouTube at youtube.com/Rad Gaming Podcast.
You can also find us on iTunes and anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
And as always, stay rad, comrades.